All right, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Opsmica here. I'm trying some new things this morning. I got frontiered right out of the gate when I got out of bed this morning, and so my internet has been off and on, and so I am streaming from via Wi-Fi. So I'm praying that this works out. But it's 11 a.m. Central Time, coming to you from the great state of Texas. It is 9/28/2022, and man, do we have a lot to cover today. The world is going haywire. So let's get over here. We're kicking it off as always in Skyglass. Again, if you don't have this app or this flight tracker in your quiver, you definitely want to get it. This thing is so nice, and there's just so much data there that is available to us, and it allows us to actually watch what's going on around the world. Who knew you could watch the flights and actually tell what's really happening? So, all right, so right now we're sitting at around 401 aircraft up mil. That's worldwide. And you can see a sea of trainers here in Texas. Florida has got a little quiet over on this corner. That's because you've got that hurricane, major hurricane, rolling through. We're going to look at that here closer in just a minute. But let's get over to our watch list. I'll show you what's going on, the latest and greatest from that aspect. Now, this I recorded about an hour ago. As you can see, we've got the mil intel balloons up, one up off the West Coast. We've got some Homeland Security on the border. And then another one here that looks to be that's actually Houston Police Department. But yeah, and then we've got, let me kind of turn it here a little bit. You can see the NOAA bird. That's at P3. It just ran a little route right there off of Tampa, looking at that hurricane. And as always, you can see those are our intel balloons watching you 24/7. There's a new Hubble balloon. That's one just launching, and just keep adding them to it. You can see the new balloon icon there over here in Skyglass. And again, we've got that whitetail at 757. That's an Air Force whitetail. Those typically are the Terra birds, and they're headed up when there's some type of a crisis in the world. So, all right, let's get over to Europe here and see what we've got happening. Looks like we got our Guardians up over Europe. That's going to be your mil intel balloons, German Air Force. And then we've got this E3. Notice it was running that little man in the middle tight circle right there on the border. And then these little flights running over here into Estonia and Latvia and Lithuania. And then this one, this R135, that's actually the Brits running across the Black Sea, going back and forth, grabbing that intel. Remember that R135 soccer ball. It can track an object the size of a soccer ball from 300 miles away. So that's pretty dang impressive. All right, kick it off over here in Hawaii, Mahalo. You can see a long line. I don't know if that's accurate. That'd be one heck of a long flight, but it is possible. You can see that's going to be all of that little squiggly pink stuff. It's going to be that teal flight. Those are hurricane hunters. It looks like they've been running in and out of the storm this morning. Actually, remember, these are the last 24-hour trails or traces. And then we've got, look like a little bit of a bug out coming out of Savannah area. Probably due to the hurricane, they're just getting out of Dodge right now. So those are aircraft leaving, headed westbound out of the storm. A couple heavy lifts headed westbound out of, looks like Baltimore, Maryland kind of area. And let's bounce over to Europe here. Give me 1 second. And there we go. And we got to get an idea of what's going on over Europe right now. Notice we've got that there's some more activity there into Lithuania. Got some stuff headed up into the Baltic region. And remember, these are heavy lifts, so these are moving assets and equipment. A lot of activity between Germany and the like. So then we got one headed, looked like it was headed down into Spain and Portugal, one into Africa, and then this one, kind of an interesting trail. That is the Brits, again, kind of hanging out around Tripoli, which is interesting. We're going to look here closer at that coming out of Cyprus. And then we've got some activity here in Kuwait. Looks like we've been added some sources there and down into Qatar. Kuwait's new. We're starting to see more traffic uptick into Kuwait. Looks like that's where we're putting more assets in that general area. All right, over to the refuelers. Nothing to see in Europe. This is all U.S. based. West Coast, one over the central U.S. Got a couple popped out there, but not too much activity. Very, very light compared to what we normally see, probably because of the hurricane. And then, of course, up here in the Northeast, as always. So, all right, let's do this. I'm going to get back over to our main board. We're going to start kind of going through the data as we look at it closer. Now, I'm going to close out Skyglass because I know that is going to that could potentially pull heavy on my Wi-Fi. So I will pull that down just for the sake of the stream to make sure we've got some continuity. Okay, since we've looked at everything we probably need to look at in this right now. So let me close that out. Let's get into the details here. Now this is going to be that Brio 68 again every single day. This is the 27th. It's running out of Constanta. Back and forth. That's Romania. For those that aren't familiar with that, that is that little port that we are pushing a lot of the grains and stuff coming out of the region. All right, and so, but just notice this thing is running a little further north. Now it was just running routes, very tight routes right here next to Moldova along that border. It has since started to breach out. It looks like it's running all the way. This is Poland up here, Belarus, bad guys, and Kaliningrad right here. So that's another, this is Russia. Okay. So it's running along that area and then right along that border. Again, this has got that technology just like the R-135. It is gathering every asset from a Russian and Belarus perspective all along this area. So it looks like there's a lot of movement, obviously, for them to be looking at it so closely on a continual basis. So, all right, over here to the weather real fast, just to show you what we have from a volcanic ash perspective. We've got one down here, Simaru's popping, the one in Japan is popping, and then these down into South and Central America. Remember, we've had a lot of earthquake activity going on off of Mexico and Chile. That's kind of the places that get it. Thankfully, it's down south and not up north in this area of the United States. So we've been blessed by that. All right. Okay, over here to the NOAA birds, see what we have up. It looks like the only thing I have is NOAA 46, and I believe that one's coming out of Memphis. It doesn't look to be doing too much right now. We were looking at the teal birds and everything running across the weather aspect. Let's get over here to the weather. Let's take a look at our TFRs. Let's see what we've got going on. Now, I was actually going to show this last time around, and I just totally blanked and forgot to do it. So. But this, just notice this line right here is what's going to pull this thing to either hard right or up where it'll just break it and go across. But that is why it has changed. You may remember it was kind of looked like it was going to run right up into this area of Florida, into the Panhandle, and it has since kind of tucked in right. And I think that's because of this low pressure line right here. It looks to be kind of steering it that direction, but. Still projected as a Cat 3, and impact it is a Cat 4 right now, which is a pretty massive storm, and they're starting to get these squall lines across. I know my brother here in Central Florida and a bunch of our followers have had, little breaks in power from time to time and internet as well. So prayers for everybody in Florida. This is not going to be fun to deal with. Going to be a soaker for sure. And it looks like that right front quadrant, which is what they call the dirty side, is going to be hitting right here in the Cape area, and so that's what usually get the tornadoes and all the other stuff there associated with that. So, all right, let's break away from that. This pink box is a red flag alert. Don't see those too often on the right side of Texas. That just means conditions are just right for fires, and so. Just eyes on that if you're in that area. Don't see any new. I just got the Senior Living Center here. It looks like Flashbang is not traveling anywhere. Now we get over to this side. This is a space TFR, and I believe this one is as well. Let me just triple check. Yeah, space operations. And looks like we got another low pushing in off the Pacific West Coast, which with the fires may be a helpful thing. So, all right. Let's break back just a tad. You can see everything is definitely heating up. I imagine the waves in Hano right now or in Hawaii are just cranking because of the amount of storms that are out there. So out to the Pacific side, you can see very active as well, just like ours. It's that time of year. So let's break away from this and let's get away from that. Let's get into what has been affecting, at least I know it's been affecting me. As you can see, for about 2 weeks solid now, we are getting peppered nonstop here in the central U.S. And we had actually an outage with Frontier last night about 11 p.m. And then that's what I think caused my system to go offline, and they had to do a lot of stuff. Thankfully, it was remotely to get me back up and running this morning, but it was a shot at the buzzer. I will tell you, it looked like I was actually going to have to cancel, and we just sprayed our way through it. So it looks good. But yeah, you can see we were just getting like from the free throw line here, just constant chucks right at the U.S. So not good. Definitely going to impact us. So all right, let's get ready to Flashbang schedule. Looks like he is delivering remarks. He's in the White House today, not going anywhere. Yeah, not a big nothing. So anyway, let's get on over here to the news and start talking about what's going on in the world. It is getting pretty crazy. Here's one for you. Now, this is going to come in play here in just a minute as I show you some of the articles. But as we get off of the flashbang side, we get into the administration and things that are going on with that. It's kind of the flow here. U.S. defends arms sales to Pakistan following the criticism from India. Yeah, it looks like we just sold them a $450 million in a fighter jet sale, bolstering a fight against terrorist threats. And so now that comes into handy here in a minute, and we'll talk more about it. But there's a reason why I'm pointing this out. It's not good. Okay. Now, here's the other piece. Ukraine confirms, this is what you would say, Bohica in the Navy. For those that don't know what that acronym means, it stands for bend over, here it comes again. And so Bohica, just add that one to your list of a terminology because you'll hear it a lot from me. So Ukraine confirms receipt of long-range missiles it long sought from U.S. Now, remember, we were talking about this the other day, these NASAMs coming in. Now, they have that extended range beyond what we are normally shooting out of these HIMARS. But the fact that now they can go a lot further means they're going to potentially start hitting stuff on the other side of the border into Russia. We know that the Moscow's reaction to this was not pleasant, nor was Putin. I think he sounded off a lot about this concern. If we gave him this, that it was going to be seen as an act of war. So stay frosty, because this right here could change things because we have this changing. And then on top of that, we have the issue going on with the gas line. And we're going to talk about that here in just a second as well. So now this one is off our West Coast. This is a pic of 3 Chinese, 4 Russian warships together. Our Coast Guard spotted them, and that was off the coast of Alaska. And that just happened a couple days ago. So that is definitely no bueno. All right. Because that means they're working together very closely. All right. Okay, on to the next one. This is actually the drive. This is a situation report. The untrained Russian draftees reach the front. I'm going to show you a video here that's just going to blow your mind. As you notice, these guys, the shirts underneath, a little different. You got the very well-known Russian stripes up under here. Looks like they've got just kind of an assortment of shirts to them, because I can see stripes and then I can see just the normal plain color as well. So it looks like they're just kind of throwing the things together. So let me show you a couple videos here as to what we're dealing with this. All right. Now this is actually one of the AK-47s, rusted out. It looks like it's been sitting in water or something for a while. It's just got, or at least they don't have any kind of oiled down coating on them. But look at these conditions. You can see them putting shoulder straps on. Now, if you've ever shot an AK-47, you know that gun is designed to basically you can roll it in the mud and the water and everything else, and it'll still shoot. That is kind of how that weapon is. It is very robust, but it just goes to show you the conditions of the stuff that the troops have been given. It's not like our stuff, and it's not like the stuff we're sending to Ukraine. Definitely a whole different line of junk. All right, now check this one. I'm going to turn. I got to fix this because I think you'll probably get an echo here. So let me fix that aspect. But just listen in. This is a lady instructing the troops.
Жгуты. У меня на вас на всех жгутов не
No
хватит.
tourniquets?
А? Родственники пусть.
No med
Аптечки,
kits?
блядь, с этих, как его, автомобильные.
Telling people to take them out of their
Автомобильные
cars,
аптечки потрошите, берите оттуда жгуты.
out of their
Так,
families'
будете только
cars.
не ржать.
And
Жен
then this one.
девушек, матерей просите, прокладки. Самые дешевые прокладки плюс самый дешевый тампон.
Yeah. Maxi pads and tampons for wounds,
Пулевое
gunshot
ранение,
wounds.
прям туда
So,
вводите, и всё, начинает
just
разбухать.
again, another data point. And the reason why we need to pay very close attention to that is because if for some reason, like I said, data point, if for some reason these guys start to really get their clocks cleaned, that is going to be a big issue, right? Because this is one of those deals where they're under-equipped, right? And so if they start to kind of go back on their heels and start losing the war because of the equipment is very poor and not working condition, or because they're getting shot and they don't have any kind of field trauma stuff, then that nuclear option is on the table. Because remember, Russia is not going to lose this war, not going to lose any war for that fact. There could be some peace for the most part, and the reason I say that is because biblically, if you know your Bibles, they are they're a big part of Gog Magog. That's Ezekiel 38. So we know they're going to be here. They're not going anywhere. So I could see them utilizing, just like we did in Japan with the nuclear option that brings people to the table and stops all of this, if they start to get their teeth kicked in, right? So just pay attention to it all. It's just a data point. Again, it's just speculation. But when you see those conditions going out with the soldiers, that's not good, especially when you see that they are untrained and they're starting to show up in all kinds of different, outfit types. So anyway, nonetheless, here we go. Let's go. Putin is expected to proclaim annexation of Ukraine territory within days. This is that area that they've been fighting all along the eastern side or on the western border of Russia. It looks like they are starting to annex them in as part of Russia, which could cool the war or it could escalate the war. But it looks to be a land grab by the Russians. And then here again, Kremlin says military campaign in Ukraine to continue at least until capture of all Donetsk region. And so so maybe there is something on the horizon if they annex those, because that's the regions that they're annexing, and maybe they'll pause at that point. I expected them to kind of go straight into Kiev. We'll see what happens. Okay, the looming worry of Russia using nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Yeah, it's real, and this is what we were just talking about, that possibility. That Putin and the Kremlin has been doing a lot of saber rattling, and that's why I showed you the equipment that they have and the fact that they are, they're drafting 1.2 million Russians for this. If they start to lose, I think this is definitely on the table. So we have to just keep that. Pay attention to it, right? And data point. And this is one of the reasons why this thing could actually go hot. Not just the fact that we see these other areas having issues, but this right here, Polish politicians suggest that the U.S. sabotaged the Russian-Germany gas pipelines. You can see the pictures here of it bubbling in the water. I'll carry more, or we'll talk more about that in just a second. But that is telling right there. Okay, I don't put it past our administration to do that. Honestly, that is something that deep state would do, right? All right, and so the EU vows to protect energy systems after sabotage on Russian gas pipelines. So you can see this is the Nord Stream pipeline. You can see them repairing some stuff here. Let me hit pause on that. Let's get down to the map. It just kind of shows it a little better. We'll get into that here in just a second. But this basically shot over the bow. This is going to impact them from an energy perspective big time. Okay. If you get into this, this is the map. Really tells the story. This is the area where we've got those leaks. And this is the pipeline, and you can see how it runs out of Russia into Germany. And this, get a little further down, there's a closer picture of what we were just looking at. You can see it bubbling. Now, there's some interesting data that comes with this, and we're going to look at that here in just a minute. But go back to this and note this right here. There was an undersea blast recorded at the same time the Russian-Germany gas pipeline damaged. So that's why they're pretty confident it was sabotage. If we get into this video and without any sound, you can see it's about 36 seconds long, but these are the Danish Armed Forces showing that leak. You can see it bubbling out of the area, and that's covered by Sky News. Very, very telling and very not good, right? Because that means that's a pretty significant breach of that gas pipeline. And so they'll have to cut it off at the probably one of the previous points on the Russian side of the house to stop that while somebody gets in there and repairs it. So, all right, so let's look at the NATO map. What's going on in that general area? You can definitely see there is a significant uptick in the vessels that are starting to show online in this general area, all the way from Belgium to Germany, up to about Poland. Now that the gas area that was popped is in this general area, and there's no telling. Now remember, this is Kaliningrad right here. This is Russia, all right, and this is their port, and these are their enemies on both sides. So again, we'll watch it and continue to watch it, but it's been very active, very busy. We do have some NATO stuff going on, exercises all around this area, as we'll see here as we get kind of transition over. You can see the map. This is going to be where we're seeing all of that activity here, a little outside of the box. So that could indicate that that is not part of the NATO, or at least maybe they're getting staged for that area. But this is all military operations. Then we get over into this area again. This is where that just took place from the gas standpoint. And then notice we have AMFI 6. That is a trigger NOTAM air support. Don't know what those are about, but we got a bunch of them going on right there. And then these are also military exercises, as well as this, all in this general area. Now, notice this right off the coast. This is, again, Kaliningrad. That's Russia. And this looks to be ULD 33 danger area activated. So we see that off the east and west coast of the United States as well. Okay. Now, Latvia, pay attention to this one. That's another mil exercise. This is, let's see who is doing this, and say just a military operation. And Belarus, that's a bad area. It's kind of hard to see these borders and as to what we're looking at because of all of this. They have made this a little more transparent, which is helpful because you've got box over box in many situations. Notice this one, how it runs along the border. Okay, same thing with this and this right here. Notice the border. It looks like Hungary is actually knocking down. I mean, that's what you see along our U.S.-Mexican border right here. That's kind of the equivalent to a TFR. And that is definitely all along the border there across from Serbia and Croatia. So it just goes to show you that things are not so good in this general area. Now we're going to talk more about Slovakia, which is inside of that area on the left side. But remember, too, Serbia is where we just had the Chinese missile air defense system arrive. And that was probably about 4 or 5 months ago. And they bought a bunch of them. So that area has now got a bunch of things in it. I just have a feeling this area is about to go hot. We saw some civil unrest in Serbia last week, and so it doesn't look good. It's actually pretty bad. So let's get over here. We'll go a little deeper into this. But this is, notice the uptick in the Russian attacks as they announced that they were going to start to increase troops into the region. You'll notice that these are all air sirens sounding, basically aerial threats all the way out to here. So it looks like the effort has been stepped up by the Ruskies. And again, we'll continue to watch. This will probably get very populated here because we know that they're sending a lot of more troops into the region. So continue to watch that, okay? Okay, now let's move on over to the other issue. Don't lose sight of this. This is extremely important. You may remember when Afghanistan collapsed and we left billions of dollars of military equipment in Afghanistan at the base there. That is right on the border of Pakistan, and so there was a massive rush of people trying to get out of Afghanistan, and Pakistan was feeling that brunt. However, remember, Pakistan is 96% Islam. All right, so that means they're not Christian, right? And so that is going to be a big data point because they are. There is a ton when you get into that the region between Pakistan and Afghanistan. That whole area is a hotbed for terrorists. And so that's why I was pointing out the fact that we are giving them $450 million worth of aircraft to fight terrorism, so to speak. That's probably on that border with Afghanistan, which would mean or indicate that there is a threat there. Okay. Now, why is that important? Because notice here that the finance minister, Ishmael, is about to resign because of economic woes. Yeah, they are on the brink of an economic collapse or a state, failed state, okay? The reason that is important is because these guys are a nuclear nation, all right? Pakistan on brink of economic collapse. Again, just another headline, but that this was from July 28th, so this has been ongoing. Now, this one back here, this is actually a new one. This is the 25th of September, and so it just to show you, this is not something that just happened overnight. This has been a slow burn since July, and so, but we're seeing that everywhere we go. As you notice here, Economic Times, we got Sri Lanka inflation 70%. We see that in Venezuela. Venezuela right now is at 75%, and they're saying it's the worst economic crisis ever. There's a trend here, and it's happening all over the place. Pakistan, Yemen. There's about 25 countries right now that are all on the brink of an economic collapse or being a failed state. And the reason Pakistan is so important that we need to pay attention to it is because they have nukes, okay? And if you have a failed state that is 96% Islamist and you have a ton of terrorists in that, you could very well have an instance where nuclear weapons get into the hands of bad guys, okay? And so that would be worse than probably Iran at this point, okay? Now, here's soaring power costs leave Slovakia economy at risk of collapse. Again, we get back over to this area. This is what we were just talking about. Slovakia is right smack in the mix of all of this, right? You got Poland on this side who's calling the U.S. out, saying, hey, you guys are the ones that basically sabotaged the gas pipeline going to Germany. This is a big, big deal. And then, of course, notice you've got this border fence kind of put up where they are basically locking down their borders. That's because these folks down here are pro-Russian, all right? And so just pay attention. Again, if you look at Bucharest, that is a major, major location for U.S. troops and NATO. Same thing here in Sofia. So we are really right in the mix of all of this, and this is not going to turn out well, folks. I hate to say it, but it's going to be bad. Okay, so we talked about all of that. We talked about Slovakia at a risk for economic collapse. Again, not good. Let's get over and look at what's going on with the troops. Now, last time we checked in was Monday, and at that point we had a very large uptick of troop movement coming out of Biggs Army Airfield, but we didn't know where they were going. They were actually going to U.S. bases, but from there, I said, watch. We're going to watch Ramstein because if these folks are going to Ramstein, we'll see an uptick on the board at Ramstein, indicating that that's the direction they went. We're also watching the Asian Pacific, so we're going to see if they go right or left, okay? And so if you look at the departures, notice we do have a camber flight on the board, 2 camber flights. This one's going to Bangor, Maine. This one's headed over to Fort Worth Alliance. All right, let's drop down. Here is an inbound. This one here came from Guantanamo Bay. Now, very, very likely this is just a troop rotation, bringing some troops back. We did just see the Sharky 67 aircraft roll into Guantanamo Bay or in that region, which is a known C-130 that's a troop rotation. And so this is about the time when we'll start to see a little bit of an uptick. And those are troops. They go, they rotate every 3 months. And so you'll see that. And that's what we're seeing here. Okay. All right. Now we got one here that is scheduled departure. That's Sierra Pacific headed to Moody in Valdosta, Georgia. That's a 737-500. Could be troops. Not sure. Might be if for some reason that hurricane knock some things out and they've got to put some guard units in, or they need to put some boots on the ground to kind of keep everything in check. That might be what we're seeing here, placing them there in Valdosta, Georgia, just out of harm's way of the main hurricane brunt on the East Coast, but within reach. Okay, so we'll watch that, see what happens. Now, I was telling you, watch the board at Ramstein. This will be a big indicator if that's a significant uptick in troop movement. And here we go. Look at the board. It is just going crazy, right? Lots and lots of stuff coming inbound. There's a camber flight. That's troops. We go down here. That's Israeli Air Force, or sorry, Italian Air Force. Could be troops coming in. Remember, that's NATO stuff coming inbound. So we see that. We've got an Atlas Air coming in. We got another camber flight coming in. Another Atlas Air coming inbound. So the arrival board, exactly what we expected to see when we saw the uptick at Fort Biggs in El Paso, Texas. And so it looks like exactly what we thought was going to happen. This is an uptick in troops and equipment, right? Now, outbound out of there, where are we pushing them to? We got one camber flight, another camber flight, and so we got 3 camber flights on the board. This one's coming back to the U.S., and then we've got several Atlas Air flights on here. One here, actually I say several. What is this one? I don't know. French Army. Okay. Spar 88 coming inbound. That's going to be a high priority bird. So, yeah. All right. So I take that back. We have one leaving headed to Turkey, which is a Atlas Air. We have several Atlas Air over here on this side. Okay. On the inbound side. So, yep. Looks like we are over the target. And let's get over here to, this is actually going to be Anderson Air Force Base in Guam. We were looking to see if any of those troops showed up over here. It doesn't look like that was the case. In fact, I don't see anything on the board indicating we've got troop movement coming outbound to this area. Let's get over to Japan and see if there's anything here. This is Iwakuni, the Marine Corps Air Station, Iwakuni. And notice these are 737-800s, but these are actually ANA wings. So this is Japanese Air Force, or not Air Force, Japanese commercial birds. So I don't know that that means anything unless we could be using them. But, you know, normally when you see these flights coming inbound to a military location, it's usually an indicator of troops coming in or some type of equipment. All right. Now, outbound, looks like this stuff is headed over to Tokyo International. Again, this is the ANA Airlines. Yeah, a lot of them on the board. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a multi-purpose location. So, I'll have to dig into that. Could be nothing. All right. Now, this is another naval air facility, Atsugi, and that is right there in Japan as well. And these are the Navy logistics birds coming inbound. So you do kind of expect to see that. 3 there inbound, and then we got 3 of them outbound too, heading to Kadena Air Base in Okinawa. All right. Camber flights. Look at this, folks. This thing is chock full. What do we have here? 8 camber flights on the board. Lots and lots. This is troop movement, every bit of this. All right. Same thing over here, troop movement. So they never show the destination. We kind of have an idea where they're all heading just because of some of the green dots. But notice we're putting a lot of folks down into Africa now. That's a new data point. We did see the Brits moving some stuff into Ethiopia. There is a lot of unrest in Africa as well right now. So it's just very interesting to see us pushing them into these areas. It could be because we're doing a little chess play with the Ruskies, because we've seen the Ruskies come down here too. We already know that they are here in Libya, and you will see here in a minute. Let's get over to the Omni flights. Only have one on the board coming back from Shannon, Ireland to Baltimore, Washington. Troop movement again. But the Ruskies, this base right here, sorry, not the Ruskies, my bad. That's the Brits, the UK Royal Air Force. And you can notice this is coming into Libya, or actually departing Libya now. So we had it come inbound to Libya and out. Remember, Libya is not it's not a good spot. Ever since Benghazi, the Russians have been taking up stakes there in that area. Tripoli is a hotbed. We just had actually a drone shot down right here off of Tripoli, U.S. drone. And so right there in, I think it was Libya that actually got shot down. So to see us put something on the ground here from the Brit standpoint is a little interesting and concerning. Again, and that's going to be your MRA. That's going to be the Libya airport there, outbound back to the UK. So very active, again, from the Brits' perspective, from the U.S. perspective, Camber flights. It looks like we have a significant uptick in troop deployments, okay? Now, this one is rolling out of Sochi, headed northbound. Looks like it's headed to Moscow. We did just see that down here on that. I think they flew into Azerbaijan, and I probably didn't pronounce that again correctly, but I'm working on it, folks. But we do know there is a clash here at the border between Armenia and Azerbaijan. All right, so we'll just continue to watch that area and see. But again, and I did just read something about Georgia from a U.S. troop perspective, and I'll have to dig into that. It just kind of flashed across one of my news feeds. But man, we're spread out all over Europe and all over. We're in Turkey. We're in the Middle East. We're in Africa. Yeah, we are really, the world is on the brink of going hot. There's no doubt about it. So. Okay, and then this one here looks like we've got one flight. This is a CNV showing on the map. Let me back up. Okay, yeah, we do have all three. These are U.S. domestic flights. That one's coming out of Carswell Field in Fort Worth, Jacksonville Naval Air Station, and then this one here over the Mediterranean. So, okay, well, we've had a bunch of stuff going on. Now, here's a couple quick data points for you. This one, actually one data point for you. This is breaking news. Trump is offered to step in and mediate the peace deal between Russia, Ukraine, and the U.S. But he is, I think he's getting a little concerned that things are on the brink. And I think we can all see that, all right? So I know I threw a lot at you. Just remember, God didn't bring you this far to abandon you. So let's finish this out on what we call a palate cleanser. It's just going to kind of get the war off your mind. We'll show you something else. Now, for me, I will tell you as a surfer, watching this is it definitely, I imagine my heart rate is going to jump a little bit. So you probably will too. So check this out.
All right, let's do this. All right, ready? shit.
Yeah, that right there has a pucker value of 10, folks. I could not imagine jumping in the water and then hearing somebody yell shark after you get in the water. And it's not just any shark, it's a great white shark. So anyway, that'll just take your mind off of the war for a minute, or the coming war in the world. And so, you know, like I say, man, keep that powder dry, stay frosty, and that's going to do it for today. We'll see you on Friday. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at Monkey Werx US.